Well, welcome to today's episode. Today, I want to talk to you about how to train your team with this concept called why, not how. It's going to be essential when it comes to team training, but it's actually more than that too. So stay tuned. Hey, it's Lawrence Tam here, your chiro coach. Now, you can also listen to these episodes on iTunes. Oh, sorry, not iTunes, but on any podcast network. So you can actually download these videos into audio format if you prefer that. So you can find us on YouTube and also on Facebook, of course. So today's episode, we're going to talk about something, a concept I called why, not how. And it's really important from a context perspective of how to train your team. Why do I think this is so important? Well, here's the thing. Here's the challenge that most chiropractors that I talk to faced. My clients face this on a regular basis. Is an ongoing conversation that I constantly have with each one of them. And it's this constant frustration on how do I get my team to be more effective, right? You ask questions like, how do I inspire my team? How do I get my team to, function or do better? Or how to get my team to do anything for some of them. How do I get my team to be more self-efficient without having to always constantly micromanage? Because most people, let's face it, none of us want to be micromanaging anybody. So those are the kind of questions that we constantly have. And so these are the very common frustrations amongst chiropractors all over the world. And I think it's really important that we actually look at how do we deal with those type of challenges and what can we do about it? Well, the answer is this, is that there is no simple solution simply because, nothing is simple in life when it comes to things. If it was that simple, then you probably have it answered. But the reality is actually probably the way you're asking the question. If you think about what I just showed you, and I know it's only just a little bit here, but I just showed you, which was, all the questions that were all in the hows, right? And that's the problem, is because you're trying to find the answer to, how to fix this problem, and also try to find the answer to, like, what do I need to say to my team to get them inspired? Or what do I need to say to get my team to be more productive? What do I need to say or do or train them so that they can actually be more self-efficient? And the thing is, what you're looking for is tactical answers. And where that's a problem is because you're looking at it from a detailed perspective. You're always looking for the instant fix and solution. There's no different than a patient coming to you and go, hey, just fix my back, right? The thing is, as we know as chiropractors, is that, well, there's way more to that. Like, fix your back meaning what? Like, so that you can walk tomorrow, or fix your back so you can feel better for 5 minutes? Or do you want to fix your back because you never want to experience this ever again? So there's different layers here that we need to consider before we actually answer that question. So that no differently when you're asking a team you're getting your team to be, inspired or do more work. Why? What are we doing? So here's the concept I want you to kind of think about which is this concept about why, not how. So I want to kind of just divide that into here. Is like, instead of asking a how question, ask a better question, is why. Why are we doing this? And why that's so important, I know that's pun intended, but why is that so important is because when you're training your team, what you don't want to do is tell them and give them instructions. Of course, when it comes to with the how, because hows are all about instructions. We give them instructions and tell them what to do. So that means that you're giving them instructions in regards to, like, how to answer the phone, or how to do a recall, what to say when a patient cancels their appointment, so on and so forth. You're focusing on the instruction. But what you're failing to get people to do, you're only teaching them one part. And the only thing you're teaching is how to do it. But oftentimes, when the new staff comes in, you're training them all the steps of doing these things, but they actually have no reason, they don't have an understanding of why they're doing it, right? This is why it's important. Now, you might say, well, of course, that's self-explanatory. Is it? That's the question I propose back to you. Is it self-explanatory? Is it self-explanatory to them because you think it's self-explanatory, or it's because you've been in the profession and in this business for a lot longer and this new staff has never experienced a chiropractic practice before? Right? That's what we kind of consider. You can't make the assumption, right? My dad always told me what assumption, if you assume, it's like you make an ass out of you and me, right? Spell out the word. And it's like, and that we never want to assume that our staff, right, gets exactly why they're doing it. When the team member when your associate or your staff understands why you're doing it, then they actually you give them the power, okay? Listen for this, the power over time to make this proactive enough so that they may actually do something completely different than your instruction, right? But they can call an audible here and change it because it gets them quicker or more efficient to the outcome that you want versus just following your instructions. Now, if you want an employee, if you want your staff to be just robots, like McDonald's staff to kind of just do the same thing over and over again, sure, go for it, right? That's what you want to do. Have someone who just goes in there and follows instruction and just give them the how. But like I said, for most people, we don't want just people responding like a robot. We want people to, yes, absolutely execute, right? The execution of this and follow instructions. But what we need to do is you got to give them some sort of direction, right? Why are they doing this? Give them some sort of aim, something to aim for. Because without knowing why you do it, then it's going to be really difficult to actually show them the how. Like most people, and this is not just, like most people think that this is just this concept of what we're talking about is helping your associates follow instructions. This is about your CAs following better instructions. But if you apply this appropriately, this actually affects your business, your whole entire business practice. Because do you know how many times chiropractors call me and talk to me and they ask me like, how do I do X? But the reality is the first question I always ask is for what purpose? Why are we doing it? The question I have for you to end this video is why are you in practice? What do you do this for? Is it purely just to make money, or is it purely so you can satisfy your parents, or is it purely to pay your bills, or do you actually have a bigger purpose to that? Because the answer to that question is going to dictate your how. It's going to change the perspective of why you're doing this, right? The why is going to dictate how you get there. When you know exactly why you're doing something, the how will take care of itself. If you ask how questions, you don't necessarily know exactly where you're going. So be clear when it comes to training your staff, or be clear when it comes to knowing what your practice is about, or hiring a coach, or doing your marketing, or whatever you're asking to do. Always ask the question, why? Why am I doing this? What's the objective? What am I aiming for? Give yourself a North Star and then figure out what's the best how to apply. Because if you don't do that, you're just going to be swimming in a bunch of hows. You're going to be swimming in a bunch of instructions. And you sometimes you get it right. And sometimes, most of the times you're going to get it wrong. And then you're going to get frustrated. Well, that didn't work, and that didn't work. And you go, well, and you make an assumption in your head, a story that all of those strategies didn't work. It's not the strategy that didn't work. It's usually because you applied the wrong strategy to the wrong why, or the wrong outcome. So be clear on why you're doing something. Train your staff on why you want something done, so that when you give the instructions of the how, it actually makes sense, that it's like a piece of the puzzle that they're trying to build. And if their staff, if you hired well, we'll do a who, not how, maybe in a different video, but when you hired well, then all of a sudden you should be hiring someone who is trainable, but they're trained to be self-efficient. You want to train your associates to want to go after something. You want to train your CAs to make sure that they're actually finding a better way, be more efficient and more effective in their job, not just follow your instructions. What's the point of following your instructions if your instructions are not as effective if there's another way of doing it? And that's why starting with the why, not how, is such a powerful way of training your team, training your associates, and more importantly, running your business. I'm Lawrence Tam, your chiro coach. Like this video, comment on let me know your thoughts around this video. If you want help with this on how to create your why, and also helping you create your how and training your team, you might want to consider this.
It's all well and good to have a successful practice, but in the grand scheme of things, I want to make an impact.
The biggest thing that it's enabled me to do is to develop better relationships with people.
The reason I joined was because I was feeling a bit isolated in practice.
Now I feel like I have a tribe.
Lawrence definitely provides a really good insight from outside of my square.
You really start to find your true identity.
When you're part of a group that supports you, which is what I feel Nitro does, you get some quality results.
I was caught up in the hustle side of chiropractic, so now having that freedom, still being just as busy and even more successful.
I think that we all elevate and rise together.
Really allows me to face my own fears and blockages.
It's about being with like-minded people, but being about people who want the same thing, which is like this willingness to support each other and hold each other accountable at the same time.
We went from seeing an average of 140, 150 people to seeing now 250 people.
I do have the confidence to, have that voice and make those changes, and I definitely wouldn't have been able to do that without Nitro.
It's not trying to create me to be something else, it's trying to create me to be the best version of me.